What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Tiege pack. Tiege makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliate and scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun. And a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Tiege Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Tiege Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Tiege Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Tiege Hanley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Tiege pack. Feel the Tiege, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning into the Millionaire Morning Show. It is Thursday, April 27th, 2023, year of our Lord. Another wonderful, awesome day. Thank you guys for tuning into the live stream last night. Literally a last-minute decision. I know I had said that I was thinking about live streaming on Wednesday night. I wind up pivoting and live streaming Wednesday night. I don't really sleep, so I have to get these thoughts out of my head on a regular basis. But I appreciate y'all, so thank you to everybody that's tuning in. I got a full show for y'all today. We got Jerry Springer. We got to talk about Jerry Springer specifically. I want to talk about Steve Harvey and his recent interview with Shannon Sharp. I want to talk about Rolex watches, and then obviously we want to get into the thick of things of everything that's happening within the community, and specifically how it is that you can level up when it comes to becoming the best version of yourself. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and get the housekeeping out of the way. Make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. If you have not already, make sure you check out that Tiege pack. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat for you to get that 30% off plus your free gift. Amazing skincare routine for men. And then last but not least, make sure you tap into the Patreon. The link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. We got an upcoming Patreon meetup that we're doing over in Dallas. And it's going to be absolutely awesome. I can't wait to see you all. I think it's going to be the biggest Patreon meetup yet. It's going to be bigger than Miami New Year's Eve. It's going to be bigger than Atlanta. It's going to be bigger than DC. It's going to be bigger than anything we've done thus far. And I can't wait for you guys to be able to have that conversation and for us to deep dive into specific topics, have some drinks, have some good times. I'm going to be there. Q going to be there. Rita going to be there. And all of your friends is going to be there for you to be able to network with effectively. All good vibes, no pookie energy, everybody having a good time, and everybody elevating and building with each other. So I can't wait for y'all to be able to tap into that. The details of that meetup is inside of the Patreon, so make sure you tap into that if you are a bag chaser. If you are not a bag chaser and you are not a dusty, it is there, all right? So make sure y'all tap into that. Let me read some of these super chats, because I want to make sure that I acknowledge the early people that hold me down. Elliot Jackson always hit me with a good question early in the morning. Says, good morning, everyone, big dog. Why do people in the black community specifically not value the advice of other blacks who date, marry other races? For example, investor Robert Smith and his wife. It's all identity politics. I think that people focus so much on the vessel instead of being focused on what the message is. They would rather focus on what you look like instead of focus on how it is that you become successful or overcome, right? Honestly, if you really want to know my opinion, I think it's just an excuse. I think people make an excuse as to why they can't be successful. And so it's not that they focus on the fact that he is married to a white woman. I think it's more or less a focus on or trying to identify the thing that they don't like about somebody in order to justify why they don't want to listen to them, or in order to give themselves an excuse as to why they shouldn't do the thing that's in their own best interest. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it has more to do with your internal thought process of how you make excuses versus you actually being able to not take somebody else's advice based off of the decisions that they make or what they look like. So that's a really good question. Thank you for the 10 ball and the question. Shout out to Christian Bailey with the 20 ball. Just came through and threw something in the offering plate, the collection plate, making it rain on me like a stripper. I appreciate you. Jalen Hawkins says, Grand Rising to all the bag chaser and the future ones love. Hey, can we get a salute to all of the new bag chasers? Because it's a lot of people that's joining the Patreon. So I rock with y'all. Ian, shout out to Ian. Say, yo, what's the deal? Yo, Ian jumped on the live stream last night. I might have to clip that up, Ian. You made for good peoples on a live stream and great content. So shout out to Ian. Shout out to everybody that's holding me down. I also want to give a shout out to Mike, that dude. Always hit me off every single morning with a Cash App. So shout out to Mike, that dude, on Cash App, and everybody that support me on all of these platforms. I appreciate y'all. Let's get into the show. So first, before we get started, I've been on this thing lately, and it's actually been for the last few weeks, but I've been really hitting on it this week, hitting y'all with it this week. Internally, it's been within me, but as far as how it is that I've been communicating it to you guys, I've only been communicating it to you this week. Shout out to Chris. Definitely going to be reading the super chat shortly. And I've been hitting off on y'all really hard. I've been being really hard on y'all about the fact that you guys really need to be on your square. Don't let nobody chase you away from getting to the bag. Take care of business. Be on top of things. I was on a coaching call with somebody yesterday, and I was having a conversation with a guy. And I was pushing him. And anybody that's ever had a coaching session with me, you know that the conversations that we have prior to us deep diving into what it is if you need, for you to be successful, it first starts off with me understanding who you are, why you are the way that you are, the decisions that you're making on a regular basis, how you came to be, what you want out of life. So it's me understanding who you are so that I have a vested interest in seeing you successful, right? And so, I was having coaching sessions with a guy, and, he was letting me know the circumstances or whatever, and then I wind up pushing him. Like, I got on him. And he was a young guy, right? I mean, in his early 20s, but I'm on top of him, and I'm pushing him, and I pushed him harder, I think, than anybody that's ever, or I'm pushing him harder than anybody that's ever had an impact in his life, whether it's his parents or whatever, right? And people are willing to accept me getting on them and being hard on them and me pushing them towards the goals that they supposed to have. And if you didn't do the homework, then I'm going to be on top of you and all of that other type of stuff, because I don't care anything about how you feel. Do I care? Do I genuinely care about you? Yes. But it's almost like a parent, right? Like, the ultimate thing about a parent is that they have to make the decision that's in the best interest of their kid, regardless of how they feel about it. So it may hurt me to get on you, or I may not want to get on you, because I know that, you being my daughter, for example, it may warrant for me to want to always be in love and, oh, I love you and all of this other type of stuff. But I may have to get on you in order to push you to a direction, because I'm doing what's best for you, not what makes you feel good at the time. And so what I'm telling you guys is that you have a finite amount of time on this earth. Think about this, y'all. And I broke this equation down last week, but I really want you to get it today. You have a finite amount of time on this earth. Let's say that some of us is going to live to be 50, and some of us is going to live to be 80, and some of us may live to be 90, and others of us may live to be 40, and you don't know when your expiration date is. It's one of the beauties and the wonders of life, is that we don't know, so we have to leave everything on the table and live every day as though it's our last. What decisions would you make differently if you knew exactly what your expiration date would be? What decisions would you, if you knew that you were going to pass, let's just be real. If you knew that your expiration date was going to be 10 years from now to the day, what would you do differently? How would you set your family up? Would you get life insurance? Would you get right with God? Would you start to remove the people from your circle that's not adding any value into your life in order to ensure that you do exactly what it is that you need to do before your expiration date? Would you take life more seriously? Would you take the day today more seriously than you did yesterday? Would it be more meaningful? Would video games specifically be as enjoyable, or would you even value the games that you play on a regular basis if you knew that you only had 10 years left to live? Would you make certain phone calls that you didn't make before, right? Would you be a lot more intentional with who it is that you spent your time with? Would everybody have access to you that has access to you today? Would you be as laissez-faire about who you are and what value you bring into this earth if you knew exactly what's your expiration date? Because you don't know what your expiration date, you've let the devil trick you into thinking that you got more time than you really do. I often say at times that I've lived 3 or 4 lifetimes with the amount of things that I've been able to experience and enjoy in this lifetime. I've started businesses, I've failed, I've become successful, I've had relationships, I've had a child, I've seen her grow, I've been very, very intentional in her life, and I've groomed her to be a really, really great woman of God. I've spent countless hours reverencing and making my father my best friend, and that he taught me everything that I know, and that when he wound up passing away, because we didn't know what his expiration date was in 2017, I left nothing on the table, so there was no regret at his funeral when I wound up having to bury him. I didn't sit there and say, I wish I had have or I should have. Every day I leave it out on the table. Every day I'm very, very intentional about the things that I take in, the music that I listen to, the streams that I watch, what shows up on my algorithm, the people that I follow on Instagram. Every single thing that I do, and sometimes I get distracted. Of course, we all do. We human. But my point is that I don't spend time wasting it on things that don't add value into my life. And the more that I grow, the older that I get, the better I get, the more money I make, the more intentional I become about filtering out the things that actually is meaningful to me. When you sit there and you make a decision today, right? Because you have a day planned out. I had a conversation with a guy yesterday, and I was getting on him about the fact that he was not abiding by the calendar that he created for himself because he just wanted to be laissez-faire about how it is that he went about life. Right? And I said, okay, so you telling me that you embrace the idea that your boss will give you a schedule to abide by, and they will give you a time in which you have to be to work and a time in which you can get off, and you can't leave a minute or an hour before that. And you embrace the idea that somebody else establishes boundaries and barriers by which you have to abide by in order to be able to trade in your time for money. But you don't value what it is that you've created for yourself that's in your own best interest. You don't respect yourself. You respect your boss more than you respect yourself. You respect your wife more than you respect yourself. You respect what somebody else got to say about you more than you respect the path and the journey by which God has put before you. How do we do that? How do we not respect our own time, but we respect what everybody else does and sets as a boundary for us? How do you care so much about what somebody else has to say and don't care enough about what it is that you've created for yourself? How do you go out and buy something in order to make everybody else happy about what it is that you got in your circumstances instead of valuing what it is that you've created and the environment in which you created for yourself, knowing that they don't care nothing about you, but they tease you because it's literally a reflection of themselves. And so in order to make themselves feel better and to forego the idea of having personal responsibility and accountability for where they are in their lives, they will sit there and have conversations about you. So in order to not take responsibility for where they at, they're going to have conversations about you, and you think that is meaningful to you when you take it to heart, and the decisions that you make every single day is based off of what somebody else says about you. They've created the barriers, they've created the bars, they've created everything by which you have to live by. And then when you get the opportunity to make the decision for yourself, you choose wrong. You choose the wrong spouse, you choose the wrong job, you choose the wrong curriculum in college. You choose the wrong person to have a kid with. You choose to not respect your time, you choose to not respect yourself. You put it all on the line. You will live for 30 years and then risk it all for a chick that you don't even know, just to be able to get a nut off. You will not wear a rubber, literally play Russian roulette with your own life, not because you respect her so much, because you know she a hoe. You do it because you don't respect yourself. You disrespect yourself the days that you don't have dick discipline and you're not able to make the right decision on a daily basis, understanding that your daughter needs you. Your daughter gonna need you, homie. Not that hoe. Forget that hoe. This ain't about policing what it is that you do with your cock. It's about ensuring that you do the right thing for your daughter. This ain't about policing what it is what you do with your money. This is about ensuring that your son don't grow up and be able to try to steal my car. You disrespect yourself every single day by paying attention to what everybody else that don't even have a vested interest in your success and what they got to say about you. You fumble the bag every single day because you are not meaningful to you. Even when you go to Gamblers Anonymous, even when you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, even when you're trying to kick an addiction, you know what they tell you? They tell you to first admit that you're wrong. And you know what the second thing they do? They make you do it for a purpose that's greater than yourself because they know that you don't give a fuck about yourself. If you got to make this decision for you, you're going to fuck up every single time. So then they say, well, make yourself accountable or get an accountability partner or partner with somebody else that can hold you accountable because they know that inherently humans, black people, black women, and people across the board don't care about themselves. If they got to make a decision of whether or not they're going to stay on this earth, it's going to be based off of what they mama going to think or what they daddy going to think. It ain't based off of the fact that they actually value their own life. They care about what God thinks. Don't you know that you are a reflection of God? You made in the image of God. You don't respect yourself in order to make the decision for yourself, but you will do it for somebody else. How does that work? How does that make sense? Let me tell you something, bro. From the time that I was a young kid, from the very beginning and the time that I was a young kid, I understood that ain't nobody on this earth, not one person, and I don't care what they tell you, not one person on this earth is more important than me. You know why? Because I can't even help you if I don't help myself first. I can't help you. I can't pour out of an empty cup. That's why I tell you to be selfish before you selfless. Get the beam out of your own eye. Make sure your own cup runneth over, and then you can get all of the blessings that come along with it. Fix yourself so that you can help somebody else because two broke people ain't worth two dead nickels. You can't rub two pennies together and then go and get a coffee from Starbucks. Broke people can't help broke people. Why you taking advice from broke people? People that ain't never had a successful relationship and all they is a baby daddy or a baby mama can't give you advice. Why you taking advice from baby mamas and baby daddies? Why you want advice from the worst of us instead of looking at how it is that you can be successful from the people that's actually done it? I ain't never seen a group or a community of people that value the opinion of people that ain't never done shit more than the people that actually got the results. I ain't never seen a community of people that value the opinion of the worst of us more than the people that's actually getting to the results. This speaks to your question, your super chat that you asked me in the very beginning of the stream, Elliot. Ain't never seen a group of people that value drug dealers and the worst of our community more than people that actually doing the work. Ain't never been to a school system that's worse that's in our community than the people that's teasing the people and doing the reverse of what's right, and then they tease the good kid and they celebrate the bad kid. Ain't never been in a society and it ain't never been a time in our history where they would celebrate the rights of people that choose to align a sexual preference and hijack the black community and the civil rights movement over something that people can't control. Think about it. You can control who you sleep with, and we tell people to have dick discipline, but we sitting here and having conversations talking about the gay rights movement is just as important as the black movement. You telling me people that were enslaved based off of the color of their skin and their own people selling them over to Europeans so that they can build up the United States of America and slavery across the world is less important than people choosing who it is that they want to put their dick in. Stop it. Stop it. And the problem is that we got so many people that's afraid to stand up for what it is that their parents taught them was the right thing to do. But instead, they decide to continue to stay on this plantation of voluntary ignorance because they don't want to do the thing that's in their own best interest because you don't value you, which ultimately means you don't value your wife, you don't value the mother, you don't value the people that came before you, and you certainly don't value your kids because if you did, you would be doing the thing that's in their own best interest by first getting yourself together, understanding that the best version of you is the best version of them. Your wife and your family and your kids. And this is one of the things that I tell guys that I'm on coaching calls with. Listen, I know you want to keep saying happy wife, happy life. I know you want to keep letting that chick that you with keep buying stuff that's not even in your best interest and throw y'all in the debt. I know you want to keep consulting her because you're so worried about her feelings. But let me tell you something. When you do the thing that's in your best interest and when you take control of your household, it is the best thing for her. She can't function and she can't really thrive because she ain't sitting up under a man that's actually going to pull his balls out and set him on a table and say, nah, we not doing that today. And if she not riding with you, then let that hoe go because she wasn't with you in the first place. If she not riding with you, then let that hoe go because she wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. If you can't set your nuts on the table and you're going to continue to be emasculated, understand it and help her to understand. Explain it to that chick. Explain it to that hoe. Break it down for her. Hey, listen, we no good if I fail. You're nothing without me. You're struggling. You're not even valuable on the marketplace without me. Help her to tell her the truth. Listen, I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to tell you the absolute truth. Tell her, help her to understand. Listen, the best version of me is the best version of us. You the one that's going to benefit from all of this greatness that I'm putting together. You the one that's going to benefit by making sure that you get on code. You the one that's going to benefit as a result of getting behind me and making sure that I can actually do the thing that's in your own best interest. Because when I tell you no, I'm really celebrating you and I'm telling you yes based off of all of the things that's going to come as a result of you being disciplined enough to actually get behind me and understand that I got our best interests at heart. What we talking about? You want this greatness or you want to continue to feel good about yourself? You want to continue to consult your friends that's single or you want to continue to get behind me that's going to actually hold you down and got your best interests at heart? Because I don't see your friends giving you their last name. I don't see your friends making sure that you eat at night. I don't see your friends ensuring that we in this great neighborhood so that you protect it and you're not getting your house bust in. I don't see your friends going to your father and asking for your hand in marriage. Help her to understand that the best version of me is the best version of us. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do A, B, C, and D. Break it down for her. Give her a vision. Help her to understand that this is what we're trending towards. We're not sitting here negotiating. We setting a standard. Pick your balls up, set them on a table, and help them to understand that, yo, we not moving this way no more. We not moving based off of what society is saying. We not moving based off of what your friends are saying. We have our own program. We have our own agenda. We have our own objectives that we need to achieve. And in order for you to be great, which ultimately trickles down into our daughter and our son, I'm going to have to do what I got to do. So you're going to need to get the fuck out of my way and let me do what men do. Stand up. Take care of your business. And stop being so weak and emasculated based off of the fact that your single mother raised you and you don't even know who your daddy is. It's time to put all of these childish games away. When I was a child, but I'm a man now. And so I do men things. It's going to be people that come against you. It's going to be people that feel a certain type of way about you. It's going to be people that want to slander your name. We don't care. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. At the end of the day, we're going to continue to bust down these checks, and we're going to travel the world. And we let the pigs play in the mud. That's what pigs do. When the last time you cared about what pigs do? We eat them, we slaughter them, and then we put them on a stove and a skillet for bacon. We don't care about what pigs think about us. We let them play in the mud. Work. Grind, hustle, stop worrying about what everybody else is saying and go and get that shit. Go and get it. Put the childish games away. We got a finite amount of time in which we have an objective and an agenda to achieve what it is that we got to achieve on this earth. And every day that you don't do what it is that you're supposed to do, you leave somebody else hanging. Put it up. Put it up. Let me read some of these super chats because we got a whole show to do today. We got a whole show to do today. All right. Shout out to Chris J is in the building. Says rest in peace, Jerry Springer. Yeah, we gonna cover that. Thank you, Chris, and thank you for coming up on the panel last night. Self-Made Forever says, preach, Bishop. I'm in the building, so on top of my game. I'm on top. I'm coming in through the ceiling. Shout out to Rome. Rome says, tell them the truth. Most women don't want to hear that. But what Anton is saying is correct. Let's do better. Anton is helping us understand. You know what the one caveat to this, though, Rome, is? We don't care what women think. If they can do better, let them do better. If they got a man that's waiting for them, that's looking differently than us, they got a completely different skin color, and they willing to divest, let's see how good. Let them go. We only got to get it right once. We only got to get it right once. We don't have to even take into consideration what some of these unruly hyenas is saying. You only got to get it. You don't have to worry about what she's saying. She for the streets. She for the streets. She not even yours. She not even mine. She all of ours. It's just his turn over there. And then it's going to be his turn. And it's going to be his turn. And you know what she going to do? She going to go out and she going to start a YouTube channel. And she going to try to give women femininity classes in order to try to fix their relationships. And she ain't even got her own self together. Okay. Okay. Let her go. Let her go, Rome. We don't care nothing about what these hyenas is talking about. We completely divesting ourselves from anything that they got to say that's not adding value in our lives. We know that hyenas is only good for one thing. And hopefully they swallow as a result of it. That's the truth. Take the whole thing. We don't want it. We don't want nothing. Nothing from you. We pay you to leave. We don't pay you to come. Shout out to Bang the Game, says morning bag chasers interview Tuesday for a sales position at work. Rumor is that I smashed it and I should be starting soon. No more hard hats. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. We know that Bang the Game watched that video, interview like a king, understanding that he's going to be able to negotiate what his salary is going to be as a result of it. Salute to the people that's doing the work. I appreciate it. Let's get to the money. Let's get to it. Aya says, Anton, you need to talk more about that great feeling a man gets after a hard day. Man, listen, we gonna be cooking for a while. It's gonna be stir frying here. Since I done got to the Dominican Republic, I'm in a whole nother mode. It's a whole nother way in which we operating from here on out. No distractions, forward and up. That's what we doing. Shout out to all of the bag chasers and the Patreon members and the people that's contributing to the platform. We doing work today. All right, so let's first get to this Jerry Springer conversation because I just so happen to be privileged enough to be one of the first live streamers and one of the first people to find out about what's going on with Jerry Springer. But apparently Jerry Springer has passed away. So I want to break this down. And I want to share with you the news because I will be one of the first people to confirm it for you since you're not familiar with it yourself. I'm going to be reading super chats throughout the show. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and do this on the fly. We putting it together as we go because I didn't even know what I was going to talk about today. Hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get it popping.
Known for tackling certainly hot button issues and wild interviews and
let me make sure I move this right.
Audience interaction with the audience cheering over and over again. Jerry, who can forget that? It ran from 1991 to 2018. Springer's publicist confirmed his death to CBS News this morning. We're awaiting a statement from his family. But before that, he was a politician.
Yeah. And he also, in a prior life, was a journalist.
Yeah.
Did y'all know that Jerry Springer was a politician? I did not know that Jerry Springer was a politician in his prior lifetime. This is what I know about Jerry Springer, right? Jerry Springer regularly reinvented himself in order to maximize what he got out of his lifetime. Now, I didn't see no black people bringing Jerry Springer to the front of the congregation and say that he was capitalizing off of black drama. Listen, I know that y'all thought that this was going to go one way, but it's going to go the other way. I didn't see anybody bringing Jerry Springer to the front of the congregation and say that he was capitalizing off of black trauma. Nobody. Nobody. I know y'all thought that I was just going to give Jerry Springer his flowers and that was going to be the end of the conversation. No. We say that it always comes back to the money. You know what Jerry Springer did? He got to that bag, he continued to reinvent himself, and then he put his homie Steve Wilkos on. Jerry Springer got to that bag, reinvented himself, and then put his homie Steve Wilkos on. Jerry Springer essentially did the same thing that Bill Clinton did. People reverenced Jerry Springer and they said that he was a real one in the same way that they said it about Bill Clinton. This is a fact. They said that Bill Clinton was our first black president. They said Jerry was a real one because he made sure that he put people on and he exposed these hoes. Nobody ever, and Steve Wilkos is carrying the Jerry Springer flag continuously. Nobody was tripping, and they was absolutely dancing and water waving, and you're going to see a whole lot of TikToks and Instagram reels of people highlighting the trauma. Allegedly, I say Jerry Springer got to the bag, but you never seen nobody. I ain't seen the NAACP. I ain't seen Roland Martin. I ain't seen Umar Johnson. I ain't seen nobody bring Jerry Springer to the front of the congregation and hold him accountable for what the blackity blacks would say is that he capitalized off of black trauma. But let's continue.
And you're right. He was mayor of Cincinnati, I believe. What's interesting about Jerry Springer, and those of us who are old enough to remember his rise to prominence as the host of the Jerry Springer Show, remember that this was coming at a time when we still had shows like Donahue on the air and the Oprah Winfrey Show, right? But that's what the Jerry Springer Show started out as, and he saw it as a logical extension of his journalism. But then, so I think the idea at the time of its inception was to
look at this. Listen. Think about this for a second, y'all. Look at Jerry Springer. Look at Jerry Springer. Now, Jerry Springer found a lane, right? The Jerry Springer Show, right? Think about this for a minute. Look at this man. This is a white man, maybe Jewish, I don't know, who has horned glasses, basically the white version of a Jerry curl, and is the person that you would look to hire if you got into a situation in which you had to be defended, if you had a criminal case. This is not the top. Listen, Jerry Springer basically had a relationship show, and you guys ate it up. How is Jerry Springer any different than who it is that y'all identify as grifters within the space today, except he did it on national TV? I'm going to just tell it like it is. Listen, Jerry Springer is literally the nerdiest of nerds, and he looks like a computer hacker or a person that wears slip-on shoes to your trial in order to get you convicted and working on behalf of the judge in order to get broke off. How is Jerry not held accountable or looked at as a grifter when every single show once he caught his wave was literally about exposing people that had a baby mama or a baby daddy that they didn't know who was their baby father? Y'all don't want to have this conversation. Y'all thought that we was going to say, Jerry. Jerry got his bag. He lived a long life till he was almost 80 years old, 79, and then he passed away.
Talk about some of the darker things that are happening in American culture. But then as a critic once wrote in a profile in 2014, it's very quickly became, instead of expressing America's dark underbelly, he was rolling around in it.
Somebody said, why you taking a dump on Jerry? I'm not taking a dump on Jerry. I'm just calling out the hypocrisy. This ain't about Jerry. Jerry is gone. You know what the Bible says? It said, let the dead bury the dead. I seen black women today in 2023 take a dump on Martin Luther King's grave and said that he not the man that he was supposed to be because he allegedly, they can't even prove it, he allegedly was cheating on his wife. So you telling me we can't identify all of the portions of what Jerry Springer's legacy is in order to bring it to the forefront of the congregation and to show exactly what we've seen happening throughout our society or what was happening on national TV? You saying that we can't hold Jerry Springer accountable for the image that he painted of white and black people or people within poor communities, or to continue to champion the feminist or the single woman movement, or to identify and show the hyenas on our TV way before we ever had YouTube? You telling me I can't have that conversation? That Jerry got to the bag as a result of having conversations and didn't actually add any value outside of capitalizing off of the fact that we had a bunch of single mamas and a bunch of dudes that was having kids out of wedlock, water waving when they wasn't identified as the father? Come on, man. Come on, man. You're not going to sit here and get mad at me because of what it is that I see from his show. Your mama tuned in. Hold your mama accountable. Hold your mama accountable. Your mama and your daddy was the ones watching Jerry Springer while you was at school, or you was a little star inside of your daddy's eye. Don't get mad at me. Ask your mama why she was championing Jerry Springer and why she crying because he passed away.
Right?
Oh, yes. It became Cirque du Springer. It was a circus. It was the first time I had ever seen members of the audience yell directly at people on stage.
Yes.
And have the people on stage yell right back at them.
Back at the
and
audience.
then when it happened sort of naturally, they eventually incorporated it into the show. And then you could almost guarantee that every show, somebody was going to get up and yell at somebody in the audience. The person would yell back.
And Jerry.
My goodness.
I know Maury did it too, but Jerry did it. Jerry was Maury's. Listen, Maury looked just like Jerry. Jerry was the blueprint that Maury later took and capitalized even more. Maury made more money than Jerry. Jerry was the blueprint. Half of Jerry Springer's people that was on his show wasn't even real. When they couldn't find the right people, they got hired actors to go up there and water wave and sign NDAs to make sure that they couldn't say nothing to the general public, allegedly. Jerry Springer was the blueprint. Jerry Springer put Jenny Jones, what was the mother chicks? Sally Jesse, Raphael. He put all of them shows out of business because y'all was so used to rocking out with the fuckery instead of rolling out with the dudes that actually was having interesting conversations. The only person that Jerry didn't put out of business was Oprah. And that's because Oprah was helping feminists continue to move forward. And so the women, Oprah was essentially well, I don't want to say no names because I don't want to give them any more shine than they already have had. But Oprah was the black woman and the white woman's savior, right? The same way that you see it happening on YouTube, all right? Jerry Springer gave Maury the blueprint, and then he put his homie Steve on.
You know what is interesting about that, Anne-Marie, too? I recall, unlike, for example, Geraldo Rivera, who had a show at the same time for a couple of years, right? Who Geraldo would express his opinion one way or another, given the subject that he was talking about. You remember, Jerry never really did.
No. And
he would. It was always like, you go, and then I'm just going to sit here with the microphone and roll my eyes and let the audience.
Brad, at the end of show. Remember?
Yes.
Suddenly the mood would change.
Yes,
completely.
And he'd say, take care of each.
And he would do these like closing statements that were always insightful and profound. And somehow he took this wild circus that had been happening the hour before and sort of distilled it down into like good grandfatherly advice.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Manosphere. Sounds like the Manosphere.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. This was, as we said, this is a man of high education. He'd been a journalist. He'd been a politician. And you're right. At the end of it, he would always say, I'm paraphrasing here, but he'd say something like, take care of yourselves and each other.
Yes.
Right? But we just spent an hour.
People abusing each other, at least verbally anyway.
Right, verbally. Although there were sometimes fisticuffs that would break out. And the audience would go bananas.
Yeah.
It really was a unique phenomena in American broadcasting.
Yeah.
And he was at the forefront of that. And I had a chance, Anne-Marie, to meet him. I want to say it was maybe at the 2016 Democratic.
Bro, Jerry buzzed down the bag and nobody ever had nothing to say. But now they want to complain and they want to whine about what it is that we got going on out here today. Shout out to T-Mac. 77095 sent me $10 for the cook. I appreciate you. Shout out to the Cash Appers.
National Convention where I was covering it for CBS, and he came on. He came on and did a little thing with me on the air, and he was the nicest guy.
Yeah.
He was very nice. He was very, flattering to me, and it's Jerry Springer, so you're like, oh my God, I'm talking to Jerry Springer. So this news comes as a shock. I mean, as soon as I saw the breaking news, I was pretty surprised. He's 70.
Jerry Springer died peacefully. I'm not mad at the homie either, Jupiter Johnson. Jerry Springer came here, got to the bag, made. Jerry Springer wasn't even paying y'all. Y'all was up there making a fool of yourself, looking like a whole fool, not a half a fool on Jerry Springer, and he wasn't even giving y'all no money as a result of it. He wasn't even paying y'all. I'm not even sure that he put y'all in a good hotel. You got no clout from it. Y'all didn't have no Instagram. You didn't get no more followers as a result of it. Your mama and your daddy was up there looking like a whole fool. Jerry was one of the first people that instituted lady boys on TV in order to be able to capitalize off of it financially, because a dude sitting there, I'm in love with her. And then you got this other big brawny guy sitting there, you in love with me? Yes. Well, I'm a man. Jerry Springer was the original architect of what it was that y'all see as trash. And let me tell you about Jerry Springer. He died peacefully at ripe old age of 79 in his sleep, and he's going to pass down his inheritance and his money to his heirs and the people that come after him that you don't even know. Jerry Springer made the sacrifice so that so many other people can eat as a result of it. And he capitalized off of your pain, off of your issues and your problems, and you praised him for it. You praised him because he introduced to you on TV some of the worst things for you, and you celebrated him for it. And now you saying the rest of it. Jerry Springer is no different than Vlad TV. In my opinion, Jerry Springer is no different than Vlad TV, except for he did it on national TV and Vlad is doing it on YouTube. Now, do I have a problem with Vlad or Jerry Springer? Absolutely not, because they found a lane for themselves in which they can continue to capitalize off of the very thing that you say that you don't want in your community, but you eat it up. You love it. You eat it up. We don't know who Vlad is. We don't know if Vlad is married. We don't know if Vlad got a black wife, a white wife, a Jewish wife. We don't know nothing about these people. Y'all didn't know nothing about Jerry Springer. You don't know if he had kids. You don't know if he had a wife. You don't know what his incentive is. You didn't even know how much money he was making as a result of it. But this is the very same thing that you complain about. And you know what y'all gonna say? Rest in peace, Jerry Springer. I get you. I got you. Listen, I have no sympathy for the black community and these pro-blacks that continue to whine about the very thing that they embrace the most. Your mama did it. At the same time, she was watching Freaknik, or she was going to Freaknik. When she came home from Freaknik, she went and signed up to go on the Jerry Springer show in order to dance and look stupid. And then they went and had you as a kid, and now you sitting here typing hard in the chat, mad at Anton because he calling it for what it is, because it's hypocrisy at its finest. Rest in peace, Jerry Springer. God bless you. I'm sure that everything is doing absolutely awesome as a result of it. But rest in peace. Rest in peace. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let me read the super chats and let's get to it. I told you, I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm just going to have a conversation based off of what I see. Jeff says, congrats on that meta trade. Oh, looking for a one-on-one. Shout out to Jeff. I appreciate you. Tam is in the building, says, hold on, someone did. Check out the Chuck D article from 2019. He talked about this. Yeah, Chuck D, but not the community as a whole. Nobody took Chuck D seriously after he stopped fighting the power. Spencer Campbell with the 50 ball says, we appreciate you, big dog. Bless you and your family. Thank you, Spencer, and thank you for continuing to hold me down. I love you. Thank you for the 50 ball. Everybody that contributes to the platform, you are absolutely awesome. I don't ask for it, but you guys hold me down, and so I have to acknowledge you. Thank you, Spencer, and you are absolutely 100% in my corner, big dog. Louis Judon says, good morning. Just subscribe to the Patreon, big dog. Thinking about going back to school for computer science. Just scheduling is difficult. Did you say you went online? Yes, I spent a combination of going online and in the classrooms because for me, this was back during the late 2010s, mid to late 2010s, around the 2008 recession. Don't just go into computer science, specifically like go into a field or a curriculum, because if you have a general studies or you go into somewhat that's just a general studies, you basically are picking nothing. Go into something specific: cybersecurity, software engineering, specialize in a specific stack and learn it, and become an expert in your field, and then that will leapfrog you into the things that you really want to invest in or get into. So shout out to you and congratulations. Jaquel says, greetings and blessings, family. We get to the bag. We sure do. Adonis is in the building. 1909 says, the same generation that grew up influenced by Jerry are the same ones calling others grifters. Facts. Jerry did harm to the community for his bag. I don't know if he did harm or not. I just know he got to the bag. Monteus says, I have major respect for Jerry. Remember being at my granny's house. Rest in peace. We loved it. He had the TRX community on blast, the Tricks community on blast. Those fights were real, especially with the KKK. Imagine that show today. See? Everybody is polarized. David L. says he had righteousness of all races, though. I seen a lot of the poor Ufes on that show in the 90s. Janesta Coleman says, brother Anton Daniels, facts. I appreciate you, Janesta, for the 10 ball. Speaking my mind says, don't forget Morton Downey Jr. Adonis 1909 says, Oprah put on Dr. Phil. Facts. And shout out to Dr. Phil for flying me out in order to get on there for his last season so I can get my big energy off. Thanks, Dr. Phil. Brock says Maury did what Meta did with the blue check by using it and capitalizing off of it for more profits. I agree. And they were smart for doing it. Ronnie Robinson says, good morning, Anton. Hope all is well. Did you know Meta canceled Red Table Talk? Thank you, Jesus. Because wasn't nobody checking for that after the August Alsina thing anyway. Super Saiyan Isaac says, I used to watch the show just to see them fools throw down. Make sure I hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. We're going to be reading super chats all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? Also, shout out to, you said the transmission community. Shout out to Monteus Jackson. I appreciate you. What do we have next for the people now that we got Jerry up out of here? I know what I want to talk about. I know specifically what I want to talk about. The first thing that I want to address is... Hold on. I want to bring to the forefront, because I thought that it was a lot of good information in this conversation, Steve Harvey, right? And Steve Harvey was having a conversation with Shannon Sharpe for episode 78 of Shannon Sharpe Show, which I think that is absolutely awesome. Shannon Sharpe Show is backed by some major players. I can't play it? Oh, yes, I can. We just going to have to pivot and we have to go make some adjustments. All right. So this is where we're going to go instead. Let's go ahead and make the adjustments. I couldn't play it? Yes, I can. Says who? Who can't play it? Who can't play it? Who can't play it? That big bad wolf is in the building. You know what I'm saying? So we just gonna pivot. But Steve Harvey had a lot of good insight and stuff like that. Well, first let me dip off on this because I got some timestamps that I want to address. But he had a lot of conversations to say about a lot of things. But it's some things that I want to play specifically that I think is going to be best for this conversation because you guys know it always comes back down to the money. All right? So make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. I will be reading super chats throughout the show. Let's see what we got here, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on 1 second.
Let me eat this bullet by myself. Y'all never said he read the teleprompter. The company never came out and said, I'm the director, I told him to say that. Y'all just left me hanging. So I'm not doing this no more. I said, I'm out, I ain't doing it. My lawyer sitting right over there, man. He said, I tell you what, he get ownership or he don't want it. So then they gave me ownership. I went right on back to work, smiling hard as hell.
I'm reason you lost everything twice.
Yeah.
In 2005, you had $1,700 left. This was after Kings of Comedy.
Yeah.
You got $1,700 after you made, what, like $30 million on that tour?
Dog, we made more than that.
He has think about this, y'all. $1,700 inside of his bank account after they had finished the Kings of Comedy tour. And that they had collectively made over more than $30 million after coming off tour. Now we going somewhere with this. We're going somewhere with this. Let's continue.
And you got $1,700 to your name. What the hell happened to the money? You
Look at that man's face before you answer the question. Look at Steve. Look at Steve's face before he answered the question. I'm glad that I'm able to do it on a big screen instead of the smaller screen today. Look at Steve's face before he answers the question. Now, I had a live stream yesterday. All right? Let's see what he's about to say.
It's called a divorce.
Let me rewind that back for the people in the back. Let me rewind that back for the people in the back.
Yeah, it's called a divorce.
This man is still hurt. From my perspective, based off of his facial expressions, he looked like he's still feeling some type of way. Bro, it ain't nothing worse, because I've had so many different calls with people. Listen, of all the hurt of everything that I've ever seen, I've seen guys say, listen, man, I lost everything at the casino. I've been fired from my job. Man, I fumbled on this business deal. My homie turned against me. I have never seen men more hurt. I have never seen men more hurt than going through a divorce. Ever. Of all the things that I've seen during coaching sessions, the thing that I've seen the worst and the thing that has hurt men's hearts more than anything that I've ever seen in my entire life is somebody going through a divorce. Let's continue.
I got jumped on, man, but it was even before the divorce.
Right.
Cause not gonna say who did it, but they got in cahoots with my financial
He stuttered on that. He said, I ain't gonna say who did it. He brought his lawyer with him today.
planner, and I was writing checks to the government for 7 years.
Right.
Writing tax checks, signing the tax checks, giving them to turn in. They was keeping them, taking the money out the account like I was paying taxes,
Right.
and keeping it for themselves. When my accountant passed, a lady went in the office and found a box on the floor, and I had 7 years of unpaid taxes. And I'm thinking I'm even. And then my lawyer said to me, hey man, you ain't paid taxes in 7 years.
Ooh, so you haven't paid in 7 years plus the interest.
Then I had saved some millions, but before I split the assets, she took all of that out the bank. Moved.
You know, I'm a person that I'm a large advocate for maintaining and staying on your square. And guys, you never let your emotions get the best of you. I think that Steve Harvey could quite possibly be one of the strongest people that I've ever seen in my entire life. Because I cannot imagine what I would do if the picture that he's painting right now played out for me. I cannot imagine what I would do or how I would feel if the situation that he's saying right now played out for me. Mm. 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 Jesus be offense. So you telling me that allegedly the plot was that they was finessing you way before you ever got the divorce, and you had some millions saved, especially after you was doing all of that hard work. Y'all remember Steve Harvey had that big old high top fade, and you remember that. He was on there and taking care of business. He was selling suits and everything. And you telling me that not only did you get fleeced and finessed by the tax man as a result of what it was that you was getting set up for in the beginning, but you also was getting fleeced on the back end, and that they took all of the money out of the account before y'all ever even filed for divorce? Man, you see that face? That's the face of a man that's been fleeced in his lifetime. And then he had to trade in years of his life to get it all back to get to where he is today. Thank God Steve Harvey is focused. But there's a lot of lessons that we can learn from guys and their experiences, but we don't want to listen to them because we say that they don't know what's going on in the streets today. These women is different now. Okay.
See, the funny thing, I got divorced in November 2005. But then they went on a rampage to destroy me and act like we was in a divorce fight. We were actually just trying to split some assets.
Right.
The divorce was over.
Right.
It was no fight for nothing.
Right.
It was just, let's split the assets. But you took all the assets.
Right.
And I was stuck with this tax bill.
Right.
So I had to pay 7 years of back taxes with interest and get current. I was in a world of trouble, man. So when I looked up, man, I had $1,700.
I've seen smaller things break stronger men. I've seen smaller situations, much smaller situations, be the catalyst behind other men not being able to endure through some of the things that he's describing right now. I could not imagine. I think that I am a very strong person. I have been through a lot in my lifetime. And social media is no cakewalk in the park, especially from what it is that you got to deal with on a regular basis. I'm not sure how I could react to such a thing. If I can't have it, you certainly can't have it. That's just a real. If I can't have it, you can't have it.
But that's when I went to New York and signed the contract for syndicated radio. Here come God again, rescuing me. That just gave me a little bit of money. I wasn't making what I make now. I make like 10 mil a year off radio. Back then, you know, 'cause I just wanted to get in the dough.
Right.
And that kept
Wait. Did he say 10 mil a year? Let me back up for a minute.
me a year off radio. Me a little bit of money. I wasn't making what I make now. I make like 10 mil a year off radio. Back
Did I hear that correctly? Were they paying that type of money from radio? I didn't know that the bags was like that. Hold on.
wasn't making what I make now. I make like 10 mil a year off radio. Back then, you know, 'cause I just wanted to get in the dough.
Right.
And that kept me at least be able to survive.
Right.
Harpo. Now I see why he didn't off himself. Wait. 10 million a year. If I'm hearing this correctly, that's more than survival, sir. Listen, you know what I'd do for 10 million a year? I know some women that'll do some strange things for some change for $10 an hour. I know some of y'all in the chat is willing to give up your left kidney for $1,000. Some of y'all will mortgage your entire future for a $600 payday loan. This man said $10 million a year was survival money. Harpo. Where they do that at? Jesus. This little YouTube money, this ain't cutting it. This little YouTube money ain't cutting it, man.
And then that was 2005. I reconnected with Marjorie in 2005, right after the divorce. 2006, she came.
You reconnected. So y'all had dated before?
I dated her in the 80s.
That's some stuff for you, Steve. This story is getting very, very interesting. This story is getting interesting. All right, so listen. You dated a chick in the 80s. You reconnect after you sign a $10 million a year radio syndication. He make $10 million a year now or then? I don't know, Aaron. I know what I heard. I know what he said.
Really?
Yeah, I dated her in the 80s.
I thought they say love is like an eclair. Once it goes cold, it can't be reheated.
Your mind ain't go cold. Red hot, poker hot, hot tomato.
But let's break this down for a second, though, y'all. Let's break this down, though. This feeds into let's go even more into the whole divorce situation, right? If the love is still red hot, and I have nothing to say negative about Marjorie or Majorie or whatever, because I don't know anything about their relationship. I don't know about the dynamics. I would never harp on a man's wife ever, because I would never want my wife to be done the same. So I have to treat the situation the same way that plus, I mean, this is not even a part of this conversation. She's not on a live stream, so that doesn't even matter, right? But here's the key, though. Here's the caveat, just based off of what he's saying, okay? If he dated her in the 80s and the love was still red hot, then that means that she never unseen what she saw in him back in the 80s. Which makes perfect sense, right? Because then allegedly every other guy that she was with in between, the love that she still had for Steve was still simmering in the background, which means that the relationship that they had, you never unsee what you saw from the guys that you were with, which is more of a reason for guys to be with women that has not had a lot of bodies. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about, again, him or his situation when I'm talking about a lot of bodies or whatever like that. I'm talking about guys in general. Women cannot unsee the men that they've been with prior to getting with you, even though they try to make you feel like you're the only one that they thinking about at that time. It's not true. That love was still simmering, and when allegedly whatever their situations were dissolved, he got divorced, she moved on from whatever it is that she had going on or whatever, they still found a way to reconnect. It wasn't like Hancock. I don't know if y'all ever seen that movie with Charlize Theron, I think that's her name, and Will Smith, in which they just somehow magically reattracted to each other. No, it was still there. It never really went away. It was there bubbling in the background the entire time. It was simmering. It was on autopilot or whatever, and then as soon as the opportunity presented itself, it came back together. Do you think it was hard for them to get back in touch with each other? Whoever it was that she was with or whoever it was that he was with, they were still paying attention to what each other had going on prior to them reconnecting. Come on, man. This is telling you the nature of people.
Molly hot. I'm talking about Tabasco.
So
It's just I got in trouble.
right,
When we started dating, I became homeless.
Right.
Wasn't no cell phones.
right.
I just had a house number. She had a little baby. I figured, what I got to offer this woman? I'm in trouble now.
Right.
So I just drove off. We never had an argument or nothing.
Right.
You know?
Wow. Why did you continue to
I've never ever seen a person and said to myself, what do I have to offer this person? I've never ever seen that. I've never said that in my entire life.
believe in love?
Hey, Shannon got that drip on. I like what Shannon got going on. He got a little dope watch on too. He got that roly on. Look like, what is that, a Sky Dweller? Shannon got that drip. Okay, Shannon. Super Shannon in the building.
Everything that you've been, like you're telling me, you've gone through a divorce and things happened with the taxes, and she took half the money, 3/4 of the money. Here I was, thought you were selling your money because you made all this money on Kings of Comedy, and you got
How you sell your money, Shannon?
$1,700 to your name. Why did you believe in love twice? Why did you believe in you could find love again?
Shannon can't believe it. Shannon like, I ain't never been married. I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna get married. And you trying to do it 2 times.
Because of my mom and daddy. My mom and daddy's married 64 years. I saw what it looked like.
Right.
I saw what it looked like when it was hard, when it was good. I watched a man honor a woman. I've never seen nobody love nobody like my daddy loved my mama. That boy with that 3rd grade education, my mama taught my daddy how to read and write. I never seen nobody.
They don't make them like that though, Steve. They don't, they don't make them like that to where a woman is willing to go all the way to the lengths of a similar situation in which they would teach a man how to read and write. They don't make women like that no more. I think my chick might have been the last of her generation. I think my chick might have been the last of a generation. They don't make them like that no more. They don't make them like that no more, Steve. I'm just telling you the truth.
Nobody loved nobody like Slick Harvey loved Eloise Vera. He'll kill you about her. And he embedded that in me and my 2 brothers. Anybody say anything about your mama, get that ass right there, right then. If you can't get that ass, come to this house, get your brothers, but go back and get that ass. She off limits. Ain't no jokes about your mama, ain't no nothing. That carried me to this day, man. You can't say nothing about Eloise Vera Harvey. She off limits, man. We ain't playing them games.
Right.
You start that your mama shit up at the school, we finna fight. When they would suspend me for fighting, my daddy said, what was you fighting for? I said, he said something about mama. He said, oh, okay.
He embedded that like, okay, how he felt about your mother, his wife. You carried that with your.
I just saw it, man. I went, wow, that's how you do it? And so
You
I
never had that
tried it.
before. In all your relationships before in the marriages, you never had that. What he had with your mom, you never had that.
My first marriage, I got married when I was 24. I wasn't the man my daddy was.
Okay.
I was trying to do something he was doing and I ain't had equipment for it.
Okay.
I ain't know how to problem solve, navigate, negotiate. I didn't know how to shut up in the argument.
Right.
I was just losing arguments because I kept them going.
Right.
I messed that up. The second one,
The only problem I have with this conversation is that where's the accountability on the woman's side? Where's the accountability on the woman's side? I don't understand it. Man, listen, allegedly she fleeced you for everything that you had. Wasn't no compassion, wasn't no...
that one right there, dog. That's just need another drink. I just said I don't do 2, but you got me in here now. You got me in here deep, Shannon.
All right, we're just gonna leave it there. We're gonna just leave it there because I just don't understand it. I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. I don't understand how just because we take responsibility for who we are as individuals and as men does not mean that we don't absolve you from being held accountable also. The thing that I hate, I can't stand it, is when a woman says some crazy junk like, if you was the man you was supposed to be, then we... What are you talking about? You a grown woman. You are a grown woman. And how you treated me when we decided to go our separate ways actually is a reflection of how you felt about me the entire time that we were together. You seen me as an opportunity. You didn't see me as a person that you valued. Listen, if you ever want to understand how somebody feel about you, you'll see it when y'all decide to go a separate way. If you want to know how somebody feels about you, you will find out when y'all break up, when y'all decide to go y'all separate ways, or so on and so forth. If they got all of this negative stuff to say about you and they lying and all of this other type of stuff, or They trying to take you to the bank, or they trying to clean you out, and they trying to prevent the son or the daughter from seeing you, and they want to hold their kids from you. That's how they really felt about you the entire time. It was just that you were feeling a need and you were filling a void in a life, and they looked at you as food and from a business perspective the entire time. I'm telling you, listen, I've been on this earth long enough to see some things. I've seen people come, I've seen people go. I've seen people break bread with me, I've seen people turn their back against me. Right? I've seen people say some nice things, I've seen people do some some flip side. I was somebody had sent me something yesterday, and I'm so on top of things now to where I don't even pay attention to what people be saying no more, because I'm just so focused on the drive and the direction that I'm supposed to be going in now, that I'm so driven. And they had sent me a video of somebody that was talking negatively about me on the internet, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought that this guy was cool. I thought this dude was on my nuts. He had did a video praising me, and you know what I'm saying, and all of this other type of stuff. And I'm like, how all of a sudden they just turn against me, and I've never had a conversation with this person before in my entire life. But it's the nature of people, right? It was an opportunity to get in my good graces when they seen me as an ally, right? And then they flipped on me when it was an opportunity to get some more views, hoping that they can get their junk back popping. And that's just what it is, right? You don't trip about it. You don't flip about it. You've been around long enough as a grown man to understand that that is the ways of the game. I was looking at Cameron and Jim Jones, right? And I love Jim Jones. I think that Jim Jones, his ability to stay relevant, even though he never came into the game as a rapper, is incredible. And Cameron and Mace now have a show called It Is What It Is, and it's popping on YouTube. It's a dope show, right? People like it. People like that New York swagger. They was ex-basketball players and all of this other type of stuff, right? But here's the key. Jim Jones goes on the Breakfast Club and he like, yeah, Mace this, Mace that. I'm looking at Jim Jones. Jim Jones got grays all in his beard. These is almost 50-year-old men. And Jim Jones is feeling a certain type of way about Mace because Cameron is messing with him and they got a hit show together. Well, that just shows you, even though Mace was the one that showed Jim Jones how to rap, what the sentiment that Jim Jones always had against Cameron or Mace, even though they were around each other based off of a opportunity that they had with each other. At some point, one of them or both of them or they develop this hatred towards each other, and even though they may do a show together, right, they endure through each other instead of adding value to each other. And I'd rather do business with people that actually got my best interests at heart, because if I got your best interests at heart and you got my best interests at heart, I just literally, people can't wait for me and Charleston to fall out, right? Charleston literally just texted me. At 10:26 a.m. Eastern. Literally just text me. Talking about how much he loved me. Let me scroll this up. I don't want y'all to see all the rest of our conversation. Literally just text me. Talking about how much he loved me. Just out of the blue. Talking about, yo, I love you too, my dog. I say, I rock with you, bro. He said, I love you too. If I say, yo, fam, how you doing, bro? He say, man, I love you too. That's the way in which he communicate with me. He just say, hey, I love you, bro. I love you. It don't matter what he going through. It don't matter what's going on. It don't matter what our lives is like. We always have each other's back based off of the fact that we've established something, and the foundation that we have was always genuine and pure and wanting each other to be the best. When I see him, I make sure he's taken care of. When he see me, he makes sure he do extra for me. You gonna see how people feel about you when they don't have any incentive to be around you. Let me say it one more time for the people in the back. You're going to see how people feel about you when they don't have any incentive to be around you. Y'all not hearing me, man. Y'all not hearing me. Let me read some of these super chats. Aaron says, shout out to Jimmy Buckets. Yeah, he eliminated your Bulls too. Shout out to Jimmy Buckets. I do wish that Milwaukee had beat them, but Jimmy hooping. They said he making $10 million a year now, not at first. Not from radio. I think he was making more then in radio than he's making now, but I don't know. Jake Fever says, you don't rewind enough. 10 M's now, not then. Listen, I don't know. Maybe I didn't rewind enough. But 10 M's is a lot of money per year for a radio show. Steve was married 2 times before his wife now. Y'all giving me all of the game and the insight. Shout out to E. Self-Made Forever says, Anton, if you constantly see women break up their families and divorce, men, why do you still advocate for men to get married? It's not cheaper to keep her. It's cheaper to not get married and save men's lives. Well, apparently, Self-Made Forever, you're not aware of what it is that I advocate for. I don't advocate for people to get married. I don't advocate for people to get divorced. I don't advocate for people to stay single. I don't advocate for anything. I believe that it's important for you to understand your circumstances. If you are going to be married, I think it's a proper way for you to do it. I think it's a way for you to capitalize off of it. And I think it's a way for you to look at it from a business perspective. For example, if you decide that you want to have kids, it's ideal for the kid to be raised in a 2-parent household, specifically a married couple that has a traditional relationship in a traditional setting by which that kid can then be raised in a conducive environment for them to be successful long term. Also, I also advocate that if you are going to get married, then you should do it when you have nothing, when you're younger, when you're broke, and so on and so forth, right? I think that there's a difference between being married and being successfully married. Has nothing to do with being an advocate for marriage. I'm not an advocate for anything. I'm an advocate for getting the most out of your situation if this is the path that you decide that you want to take. Marriage for me was incredibly beneficial. It still is. I love my wife, but love came after looking at it from a business perspective, and I think it's a way for guys to then look at it in order to benefit them long term. Now, if you decide to be single, it's no different. I think that if you're going to be single, why would you have a kid out of wedlock? Because you're still going to face the child support court or the family court, and you basically going to tether yourself to that woman and marry her for the entirety of that child's life. You basically signed up for a marriage by having a child out of wedlock. If you're single, why would you have sex and then put yourself in a position to catch a disease by not wrapping it up? I think that there's a smart and a responsible way to go about maximizing the benefits regardless of the state that you find yourself in. And so y'all have to be careful not to take my words out of context. All right? You got to be careful in not taking my words out of context. Being successfully in any situation, whether you're single or you're married, is going to take a level of discipline. And if you're not looking at it through the right lens, then you're going to be the recipient or catching the bad end of that stick. It is a way for it to be successful. It's a way to be successful, and it's a way that you're going to catch shrapnel whether you're on each end of the stick. I know guys that's on both ends of the stick. None of them are a part of my family, but it's because we have a formula and a blueprint of what it looks like in order to be married successfully. Which is why me and all of my brothers got married when we were young. So, take it in context. Look at the entirety of it and don't just put a blanket statement on it because the context matters. All right? Let me continue. All right, so what we got going on here? What's next? Oh, let's get to the money, y'all. Let's get to the money. I want to get into this conversation about assets, Rolexes specifically. You guys know that I'm an advocate for the big watch game, and I absolutely love buying luxury watches. And so I want to share with you the sentiment of one of the reasons why I look at Rolexes and high-end watches such as Rolexes and Patek Philippe's. And then once you start really getting into the game, even Omegas and Tudors, I look at them as assets and APs. APs is absolutely a great thing also. I also used to have conversations with Kevin Samuels. That was one of the things that we used to talk about on a regular basis. It's funny because I still save the text messages and I still save all of the things that we talked about, specifically about the watch game, because Kev used to actually refer to me and ask me what I thought about a specific watch before he went and purchased it. So I want to share this with you guys to help you understand and not get finessed. And just because you start getting a little bit of money, I don't want you to start looking at watches as a luxury item. I want you to look at it as an opportunity to invest in an asset that's going to appreciate over time. Make sure you get a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notification. Let's get it popping.
Identifying a fake Rolex can be tricky.
You know, as a person who has been dealing with these things for years, when it doesn't say Swiss, you know something's wrong.
John Buckley is a veteran watch dealer who buys, sells, and repairs used Rolexes. And they're sometimes worth hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Just perfectly done.
These days, used watches can sell for up to 3 times their retail price. The market is estimated to be worth $20 billion.
Depending on the watch that you get, and it's not just getting a Rolex specifically, right? There are other watch brands. There are other specific types of watches and Rolexes. You also need to develop a relationship with your authorized dealer. But depending on the watch that you get, it will always exponentially beat the rate of inflation. Now, what is the rate of inflation? The rate of inflation is the thing that the Biden administration is continuing to raise the rates for because inflation is out of control. It's the cost of living. It's the fact that the fiat dollar, right, is becoming less valuable because it takes more of them in order to buy the things that you want and like every day. So, for example, if you get a raise at your job, right, and let's say they give you a 2%, 3%, 4% raise, annual raise on your job, but the rate of inflation is 6, 7, 8%, like it's been over the last 2 to 3 years. Thank you, Biden administration. And that means that your dollar actually doesn't go as far as it would have had inflation been 1 to 2%, exactly what it is that they targeting as a smart rate of inflation for the economy, right? Well, I don't know why they don't say 0, but either way, I'm over here in the Dominican Republic, and the rate of exchange, you are going in some of these places, and the prices is like $700 for a burger or something like that, right? And it's like, if you start doing a rate of exchange, oh, they talking about their currency. It's only costing us this amount of currency here. I went and bought some stuff from Louis Vuitton, and it actually is costing me 25% cheaper buying it here than it does in the United States of America, right? And if you paying cash, if you paying why do you think that I'm walking around with cash, right? Why do you think I'm walking around with all of this money, huh? If you pay cash, you actually get it at a cheaper price when you're buying luxury goods over here at the Blue Mall, which is here in Santo Domingo, all right?
And it's growing fast.
It's like everybody started buying watches.
Because they're a good way to store money.
Between 2011 and 2021, Rolex has outperformed the stock market, real estate, and gold.
But even experienced sellers like John have to be careful. For one, there are counterfeits.
U.S. Customs showed us how it seizes up to 150,000 fake watches per year.
It's funny, I'm looking at comments like Castle Kingside, right? And he said, it's a damn watch, man. That's insane. No, it's not a watch, right? If you know how they made, if you understand the history of it, if you understand, that's like saying a painting is just damn art. No, it's not art. It's a timeless piece that you can't duplicate, and it's historical. And the fact that the market determines the value of it based off of the demand because people appreciate the craftsmanship. You don't even understand how long it takes to make an individual watch or a Rolex specifically, right? You don't know how much gold is actually in that watch, right? It's not just a watch, it's a timepiece. And the fact that you just identified it as a watch shows me how little you know about it. Listen, a car is not just a car. Do you look at a woman and say, oh, it's just a woman? No. It's different types of women. It's fat women. It's skinny women. It's women that hold you down. It's women that are good mothers. They're not just a watch. This is not just a Timex, right? The movements in that watch, how long it takes for them to be able to test it. A car is not just a car. It's a much different car when you jumping in a Bugatti, which I equate to basically being a Patek Philippe, versus actually getting a house. Is not just a house. You can go and live anywhere. You can go and get a tenant and live on the street, right? The goal is for you to be able to safely sleep. Just go and move it in a certain type of neighborhood. No, it's not just a watch. All of the things that you buy, there's levels to it. It reminds me of when people say, it doesn't matter what you ride, as long as you take the plane and you get there back and forth. Then how can people sit there whining about Spirit every day and not just taking into consideration, oh, okay, you just jumping on the plane ride, it's just getting you back and forth, right? Why do people take private planes? Why do people fly first? First class be booked up. Almost every single flight, there is not one seat that is not booked up for first class. Why do people value first class?
Year.
Rolex watches inside in just plain old bubble wrap. And Rolex would never put their watches in little Ziploc bags.
But spotting a fake isn't always as obvious. If dealers like John get stuck with a counterfeit, the effects can be disastrous. Not just financially, but it can also destroy the reputation.
New young bucks that come into the business, they get caught out there real fast. And your reputation is burned when you can't make good on a sale. Factory bezel, factory dial.
We followed John through Manhattan.
How come y'all just don't get some shoes? Why do y'all have to have Nikes or Air Ones or Fear Gods or Travis Scotts or Adidas or Yeezys? How come you just gonna go to Payless and get some XJ900s? Why do y'all have to have Ferragamos and Gucci loafers? Or even if you paying $60, $70, $80 for a pair of shoes, you can go and get some Air Force Ones. Just make sure they're not black, because I'm gonna think you're a criminal. You can go and get some Air Force Ones right now for about $100. You can go and get some Air Force. How come you not wearing shoes that don't have a name or a label on it? Why are you not going to get you some XJ9000s? I'm just curious.
Manhattan's famous diamond district. To see how he strikes deals in such a competitive market.
It's 13.3.
No, it's not so bad.
Of course it's not so bad. Why do you think I'm offering it to you?
This section of 47th Street is home to over 2,600 businesses selling gems, jewelry, and luxury watches. John buys and sells roughly a dozen watches per week here from stores and other collectors. Today, he's visiting two of his regular spots.
Little Eddie's got a Patek that I need. Hopefully I could buy it from him, and I'm gonna show him a couple of pieces that I've got.
I gotta find it first.
Oh, that's good.
What's good about this watch, it comes fully complete. Look at the condition.
You got everything?
Yeah.
John already has a customer.
So when he says you have everything, he's asking about the box, he's asking about the papers. What I find now, based off of the watches that I've been purchasing lately, is that everything has moved digital, right? When I first started buying my watch, the first watch that I bought, I actually documented it. I bought it in the suburbs of Chicago. Everything was a little bit more manual. So, for example, it does have a serial number, it does register and all of that other type of stuff or whatever. But everything was a little bit more manual. So it comes with a card, it comes with the papers, it comes with the box and all of that other type of stuff, right? Now, what I find is that when I purchase watches now, when I only get mine new from authorized dealers, so I have to wait for my watches, right? I wait till they made, I get on a waiting list, and I have a couple watches that I have on order now. But even my Omega, right? So I went to, where were we at when we bought that Omega? I was somewhere in Florida. I was in Miami? I think I was in Miami, Florida when I recently bought my Omega. Yep, I was in Miami, Florida. And everything was registered. They did give you the card and everything like that, but nowadays they register everything digitally also, right? So everything is going into digital. Currency is going digital. Serial numbers is going digitally. And everything was registered specifically digitally. So if anything was to ever happen with the watch, apparently they'd be able to identify who's using it, where, or whatever. If anything ever pops up at a dealer or an authorized dealer, they'd be able to track it down.
Lined up for this rare Patek Philippe.
I really like this watch for
What's
myself.
the date on the papers? I'm curious. Not that it matters.
He's hoping to get it for under $40,000.
Listen, I know it's a nice watch. I'm not here to beat you up. You know I need it. 36,000? I thought I was pretty good at 35.
37,000, that's my final price. I think it's fair.
He's taking it.
You can think about it.
I don't have to think. Mazal.
No problem.
You're the man. Thank you. This watch will be sold for 40,000 and change. So I'll make $3,000 on the watch, which is not bad.
Down the street, John has his eye on a gold Rolex day-date with diamonds on the bezel, or the ring surrounding its glass.
Now, one thing that you guys need to know is that we don't bust down our watches. Now, that's much different than this watch right here, right? Because this watch right here is factory diamonds. So if Rolex or any watchmaker by default is automatically installing, or they have diamonds inside of the watch as a part of what the watch was made in its original form, then that's fine. That's still stock. It's still considered an authentic watch. But the minute that you then modify this watch, so the one modification that you can make to some of these watches, you can replace the band, or you can get a different band. A lot of times, depending on which watch it is, especially Sky Dwellers and stuff like that, they take the band off and they may put a rubber band on it, or they may put a steel band on it, or they may put a gold band on it. So you can swap out the bands, and the bands still need to be authentically whatever it is the watchmaker that makes it, right? But specifically, if it is not factory, if it is not stock, I don't like anything that's not factory. I don't like my watch is not factory. I don't like my car is not factory. I won't even put 4 Giottos on my car or something like that. You have to make sure it is stock. The minute that you bust it down, the minute that you modify the watch itself, then the watch basically becomes useless because it is not valued within the timepiece or the watch community any longer. Okay? Never, ever, 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 ever bust down your watch.
How much is this $21,000 watch?
25,000. Yes.
2, 3, 5. You like that, right? Let's do it. It's factory diamond dial, factory diamond bezel.
23.5. The deal, but I'm gonna do for you. I'm gonna obviously say yes, but
really, it's beautiful.
John typically has around 30 watches in his collection, and most already have buyers lined up.
Kev, it's funny because Kev, he first got into Rolexes based off of my recommendation, and he quickly navigated over to APs. Kev had an affinity for APs. He just loved the slick simplicity of it. I'm more gaudy, right? So I'm naturally gonna wear Versace's. I like Rolexes. I like watches that kind of protrude a little bit more and stick out a little bit more. Kev liked APs, so he wound up going more towards APs, which is actually around. They hold their value and they appreciate over time. The top 3 watches that hold their value and appreciate over time, based off of my experiences, Rolexes, APs, and Patek Philippe's. Patek Philippe's is at the top of the food chain, and then Rolex obviously is the most desired because it's the most recognizable. And then you have APs that's slightly, I like to say they 1A, 1B, and 1C. But it's much more difficult to get a Patek brand new. I mean, you really have to have a great relationship with an authorized dealer in order to do so.
We like cash flow. I write a check, I want to know that, I'm going to have that money back, I'll make my profit on it and move on to the next one. It's like the holy grail over here. I didn't even think they were still producing them.
He doesn't want to risk getting stuck with something he might not sell, even if he loves it. Like this diamond-studded Rolex from Qatar, which has an asking price of $175,000.
When you look at these that they make on the street and you compare it to something like this, I mean, it's a different world. I don't have a home for it.
Despite the high price tags, John says he rarely makes more than a few $1,000s per watch. Sometimes it's only a few hundred.
There are very few home runs in this game. I mean, I don't know what is considered a home run. Making 10 grand on a watch, it's like, that doesn't happen. Thank you, Yasha Mazaf, and thank you. Thank you so much.
In fact, he makes even more money selling obscure parts than the actual watches.
These are interesting. These are called color change or tropical. And years ago, you know, guys would never keep this stuff. But now, because they're unique, they keep them and they ask for a lot of money for them. These are Daytona dials, which are actually pretty cool. This is just tons of stuff, wallets, Rolex, duffel bags and hats. We have it all. We do.
He's hoarded these Rolex parts in his workshop for 25 years.
We're here in the lab. This is where I get to practice my guerrilla watchmaking skills. You have to have a very specific part for a very specific watch in order for it to command a very high price.
John has seen demand for Rolex parts and watches skyrocket after 2017. That's when a Rolex Daytona worn by the actor Paul Newman broke a record, selling for $15.5 million plus.
One watchmaker that I don't rock with, and I don't anticipate ever doing so, is Richard Mille. That is I don't understand it. I don't understand obsession with it. The only thing I understand about a Richard Mille is that a lot of basketball players and rappers rap about it. And so when they start talking about the popularity of it, I genuinely shy away from it, because I realize that the value of something is not based off of the popularity of it. The value of it is based off of the secondary market for it, right? I've seen a lot of rappers start wearing them stupid red boots everywhere, right? And they start appearing in rap videos and in TikToks and all of that other type of stuff. And I said, okay, stay away from them big red boots that look like Mario Kart or something like that, right? But I don't understand the value for Richard Mille. I don't understand whether it goes up or it goes down. And so I'm going to give you the same advice that I tell everybody else. Never, ever invest in something that you do not understand. Do not buy it. Do not do it just because everybody else is doing it. Before you ever get into it, and I don't care if it's a watch, I don't care if it's real estate, I don't care if it's gold or silver. Never, ever invest in something that you cannot or you do not understand. Don't do it. And because I don't understand it, I know that they pay outrageous prices for it, but they pay outrageous prices for a bunch of diamond chains that ain't even worth the metal that it's on, right? So I never look at, them Astro Boy brutes. I never look at a rapper and say, oh man, I gotta have that. I'm always trying to understand the value of it and whether or not it's beating the rate of inflation. And that's how I determine whether or not I'm investing in it and I'm going to buy it. Because contrary to popular belief, part of your net worth also includes jewelry. And so because I like nice watches and timepieces, I get to wear it around. I have history as it relates to it. Most of my watches come from life events in which I want to make sure that I commemorate that life event. And so it's meaningful to me. I plan on having it in my family forever. And so it also adds to my net worth. And every single watch that I've purchased, maybe outside of the Omega, I just know that retains its value. Every other watch that I've purchased is worth more than what I bought it for. New.
Plus fees.
Selling officially at $15,500,000. Thank you for your patience, Natalie.
That's crazy.
It is history now. $15,500,000.
What happened after that was this big bull run, and I hate to use stock terminology, but that's what it was. It's like everybody started buying watches.
In 2021, Rolex retail sales were estimated to be higher than the next 5 brands combined.
Here's the kicker though. When I bought my first Submariner, and I paid cash for it, and I actually, of course, you guys know, already documented it, and Rita was with me, and she the one that pushed me to get it, right? When I bought my first Submariner, it had to be 6-7 years ago or some crap like that. I've been getting money for a long time out here in these streets. When I bought my first Submariner, I bought it walking into the store. I didn't have to get on no waiting list. It did not take me a long time to do so. Any of that, right? Now, it takes you, depending on how good of a relationship that you have with your authorized dealer, it can take you if you get in a professional watch, like a Hulk, a Pepsi, Submariner, anything like that, it could take you anywhere from a year and a half, 2 years, all the way up to 4 years to get your hands on one, depending on the relationship that you have with your authorized dealer. I don't know what the heck happened. I'm still trying to figure it out. What my authorized dealers tell me is that the market overseas exploded just as much as it did in the United States of America. So overseas buyers, a lot of Chinese buyers, a lot of people internationally started being on a hunt outside of their particular market for these same timepieces and watches here in the United States of America. So it didn't matter where I traveled to. I was no longer able to just walk straight into the store and buy the watch. Now my authorized dealer has to call me. And it's funny because I actually was in Vegas. One of the people that was in Vegas with me was my authorized dealer. Now I have to wait for my authorized dealer to call me and tell me a particular watch is in that I'm on a list for. One of the watches that I'm actually on a list for now is a rose gold Sky Dweller with the chocolate face. It is gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And the watch is going to cost me $50,000 new, but I'm waiting for it to come in. She said it shouldn't be too much longer.
So why are they in such high demand? First off, their reputation for quality. They're made by hand with materials like 18 karat gold, platinum, and stainless steel. And there aren't many new ones entering the market.
Brands like Patek Philippe and Audemars Piguet each make fewer than 100,000 watches per year.
And here's the interesting thing. One of the things that I'm looking forward to going to next year is the watch releases for next year in Geneva. I did not go to it this year. I didn't have the time in my schedule, or I didn't, plan for it effectively. Rolex and all of the different watchmakers has recently released what their watches look like. It's some special watches that was released this year that I put my name on a list for that I'll probably never get my hands on. But I even follow a lot of the channels that I watch. Is Watchfinder. I watch Nico. Nico does a lot of reactions to a lot of different celebrity watches. So those are generally the things that I see in my YouTube algorithm. Not some of the trash that y'all be having conversations about. But I fell in love. I watch them. I study them. I look at watches and watch videos probably more or just as much as I look at car videos.
Rolex makes an estimated 1 million annually. And that's still not enough to keep up with demand.
For most people, the only way to get one is to get one secondhand.
Yep.
The result of that, in many cases, is higher demand than available supply, which
drives up the market.
Prices to go up.
Rolexes also last and can resist all kinds of extreme conditions. In fact, it started off as a sports brand back in the early 20th century.
They began making highly functional timepieces designed to go underwater, top of mountains, and on jet planes. And these were professional grade timepieces for people that needed accurate measurement.
These were not collectible watches back in the day, okay? You look at some of these, watches that are 6- and 7-figure watches, they sold for maybe $100 at a military PX or something like that.
Edmund Hillary, one of the first to summit Everest, wore a Rolex Oyster Perpetual during his
Yes, Castle Kingside. I love cars and watches, so I am on the list. Obviously, a lot of people are familiar with, and I've shown the receipts on my show, of the Lamborghinis. I recently put in a deposit for the Revelto and another Lamborghini that I'm on a list for. And then I like watches. I like timepieces. I like learning everything that I possibly can for timepieces. I also am looking forward to one day getting my hands on Tesla Cybertruck. So eventually I'll get rid of my Porsche Taycan. I'll get rid of the S-Class. And then I'll go with a Cybertruck and then the Lamborghinis. And then we'll figure it out from there as far as what Rita's gonna drive. I don't want to make that I don't want that cat out the bag yet. I don't want y'all to know what she's gonna get next.
Expedition in 1953. In the 60s, Rolex began sponsoring tennis matches, auto races, and a number of high-end luxury events. Rolexes also started showing up a lot more on movie screens.
Actor Sean Connery wore one as James Bond. Marlon Brando wore one too.
By the 1980s, Rolexes were sought-after collectibles. Today, a Rolex Daytona model is so popular, it's almost impossible to get on a waiting list.
Those are the only two models that I don't have. I don't have a Daytona, and I do not have a Sky Dweller. I'm on a list next for a Sky Dweller, and then hopefully I can get my hands on a Daytona. And then I've been looking at other watch brands now that I have all of my Grail watches. I'm looking at all of the different watch brands because now I get to experience and start to spend my money on things that I actually really, really love, in addition to maintaining the value of the watch itself so that I'm not losing any money on spending on luxury items.
I'm still on a waiting list since 1996, just to give you an idea.
But buyers are willing to spend a lot to skip the line.
So I have that watch right there. I have two of those watches.
List since 1996, just to give you an idea.
But buyers.
So what that watch is called right there is it's called the Wimbledon. I've actually shown it on the Millionaire Morning Show. I have one for myself. I also have one for Rita. I bought a Wimbledon. It's the Jubilee with the fluted bezel, and it's got a slate dial. And so that slate dial is actually called the Wimbledon. And when you wear it, and certain people that understand watches and they know it, because Rita was wearing one here, and it was like, oh, you got the Wimbledon. And so it's absolutely a beautiful watch. It's a gorgeous watch. I don't really wear two-tone watches that often. That's something that Rita wears. So Rita wears the two-tone Wimbledon. I like the solid gold presidential, and then I wear the Submariner occasionally. But now I've been wearing the Omega a lot more than regular. So
buyers are willing to spend a lot to skip the line.
See that Pepsi?
Which is why used Rolexes can sell for 2 to 3 times their retail cost. And as demand soars, watch dealers like John have to be even warier of the biggest trap of the trade: counterfeits. Customs Officer Steve Nethersall showed us how they sniff out and seize counterfeit watches at JFK Airport.
Before a package ever lands in the US, CBP gathers intelligence on the sender, container, and aircraft. He'll start by looking at the box.
Well, I'm looking because I don't have my glasses on, so I'm cheating. The first, when it comes in, is the country of origin. Louis Vuitton, they're coming from France. The watch is coming from Switzerland. When it's coming from China, bing, that's your #1 red flag. Rolex would never put their watches in little Ziploc bags. They don't put these inside it, the silica gel. Rolex does not send to individuals in the United States. They only send to their retail stores.
They only send to authorized dealers. When you see that big logo, that Rolex logo, even when you're flying into Las Vegas, the Rolex logo does not mean that it's a Rolex store. It means that that's an authorized Rolex dealer. Rolex does not have Rolex stores. They only have Rolex dealers, right? Authorized dealers. So if anybody tells you that, yo, I got my watch from a Rolex store, maybe they need to add a little bit more context, or they capping.
More than 90% of all the goods that we receive that are counterfeit are from China. You know, sometimes by the naked eye you can't tell, but sometimes it's that bad you can. But you look and you can see the scratches and how it's not machined properly to a nice finish.
So when Steve finds a counterfeit good, he seizes it. Then he figures out the item's MSRP, using the brand's website and CBP's internal database.
This one here would be about $11,000. That's the MSRP, what the manufacturer would be losing had this been genuine. These are generally on the internet for about $200.
You know, one thing that I can't stand is counterfeits. I don't like counterfeit people. I don't like counterfeit watches. I don't like chameleons in the community giving advice when it comes to relationships. Shout out to Jake Fever. He says, I bought air for my tire. Hope I get a good level. What? Christopher J says, if you buy fake anything, especially a Rolex, you made a conscious effort to be cheap and stupid. Why not buy it from an authorized dealer only? Because they trying to get Rolex clout, but they don't want Rolex, spend Rolex money. The thing that people don't understand is that I don't mind spending that type of money because it retains its value and it's an asset. So I have it forever and it contributes to my net worth. So the thing that I tell people is, hey, instead of buying a fake that, get a real something that's actually closer to your budget or your price range. I'd rather have a real $200 watch than a fake $200 watch of something that's real that costs $20,000. It's the dumbest thing ever. Adonis1909 says, broke people in the chat are the same ones who get a Rolls Royce and put 32s and complain about the rough ride. They don't respect quality. Wyatt B 856 says, peace, my brother. I really wish you could you reconsider Thursday show. I stopped watching it. Your smoke and knowledge is needed, and you're the blueprint for life. Sometimes it's best to move on, my friend. Y'all gonna have to deal with it without me. Make sure y'all tap in the Thursday night show on the Peef Let's Talk. I heard that Bruiser is doing some really good things over there, but I only look at what we have going on over at the Lapeef Network from a business perspective now. I have to work on the back end and make sure that things are taken care of. However, I personally cannot subject myself, and I have to move on because I've grown past that. Let's just leave it at that. Big Boy 5218 says, keep grinding, King Daniels. Great content as always. I'm still waiting for you or the Queen to get back to my email sent. Big Boy, what is your real name? Well, or what's the email? What's the email name that you sent it under? And I prioritize that. Shout out to Jay Hunter Lee says, what up, AD? Hey, a dude named Producer Michael is I watch Producer Michael also. Producer Michael got this like eclectic style though. Like he's like very loud and flamboyant, which actually flies in the face of a lot of other people that say that rich people are stealthy. No, it's all kind of different rich people that think and look at a lot of different things very differently. Just like black people is not a monolith, white people is not a monolith, Asians are not a monolith. There's poor people, there's rich people. There's rich people that are flamboyant. There's rich people that are more stealthy with it. It's not a monolith. So that kind of brings me to my point though, right? And that y'all have to stop assuming that you know when you have no experience with it. People are not a monolith. How it is that you operate is all based off of the experiences, the culture, that specific environment, so on and so forth. If I go down to the DMV area or I'm hanging out in Baltimore or whatever, they're going to have a different lingo. They're going to have a different slang. However, they may have the same mindset as me when it comes to looking at things from a business perspective. Similarly, I come here and I can't assume that I already know the culture. I have to immerse myself in it and learn as much as I possibly can, right? I would encourage y'all to get out the house. I would seriously encourage y'all to get out the house because the more that you stay in, the less that you learn and the least at least you can be exposed to something that you can compare yourself against, or you can compare what it is that you already know. Even when it comes to having conversations, do you know that when I'm seeking out a new podcaster or I'm seeking out a new talent or I'm trying to find a channel that I want to subscribe to that's new, I don't go to the segments or the spaces that we're already familiar with. I'm not interested in it, right? Man, I was looking at a lady that was live streaming the other day and she was selling antiques on her YouTube channel. And I was trying to understand, man, why is the audience so interested in her? What is it that's entertaining about her? She's whiter than snow. I seen another live stream where a lady was doing covers of popular songs, but she was doing it in her own little style. And I was trying to understand why people found that entertaining. Was it the fact that she was a woman and she was scantily dressed, or was it actually her content? I'm always looking to learn and immerse myself and be around people that may see things differently than me, that understand things differently than me, that look differently than me, that do things differently than me. I'm not studying other people that I'm already familiar with. I already know what the nature of the hood is. I know what the nature of people that look like me are. I know what people in IT do. I want to understand what people in sales do. I want to understand what people in pharmaceutical sales is doing. I want to look at what content creators are doing that don't look like me, or they speak a completely different language. One of the things that I'm evaluating doing and that I've been convinced of and now I'm partnering with is somebody that is translating what I do every single day into Spanish. Why? Because I studied a content creator that actually is more successful on the Spanish side, even though he don't inherently speak Spanish. There's content creators that create 2 different versions of their videos every single time that they create a video. You think I'm sitting here studying these stupid single baby mamas in order to understand their audience? Man, it's 8.5, almost 9 billion people on this earth. I'm trying to figure out how it is that this person is making more money in Spanish than they making on the American side, but you only familiar with the American side. I was looking at 6ix9ine, right? Tekashi 6ix9ine, and people so focused on whether or not he is snitch or not, they don't even understand that the overall majority of the money that he makes come from people within his community that speak a different language than us. Right? The game that we give inside of the Patreon, the people that we pour into, we think outside of the box. We're not trying to stay on code. All stay on code is translation for staying poor. I'm going to say it for you one more time. All staying on code is translation for staying poor. It means to box yourself in based off of the requirements of who you think your core audience is and the supporters of your platform. I never understood for the life of me, even when I was a young guy all the way up into being 41 years old today, why would somebody say I'm a Black-owned business when they're trying to get people to patronize them, and they are trying to get people to patronize them that don't even look like them? Why would you limit the reach of what it is that you're trying to do from a business perspective to only a certain demographic of people? I don't see that happening with any other community. I've never heard anybody say I'm a white-owned business because they only want to separate themselves based off of 50-something% of the population. They want the whole population. Now, what it is that they feel or what it is that they pour their money into once they get the money is a completely different conversation. But it is the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in my life to label yourself a Black-owned business as though we don't see what you look like when we come in the building. All you did was cut off the possibility for somebody to come in and get a great experience to show that they should be patronizing your business based off of your customer service, based off of your good attitude, based off of the product that you give to them. So now, instead of them coming in and saying, because you don't know what somebody else thinks. What if somebody don't even give you a chance because they say, well, listen, why would I give them my money and they saying that they don't even want my money based off of how they identify themselves? What if somebody cut you off from a level of information or language or content or creation that you can then lean off of in order to improve what it is that you do in your regular everyday life or in your business based off of what you label yourself as, based off of what you box yourself in as? That would be like me going into an all Asian community and saying, but I'm a Black-owned business. The first thing that they teach you in sales, the first thing that they teach you in technology, the first thing that they teach you in user experience is to understand your audience. Learn your audience. Learn the demographic of people that you're going to be serving. And UX, right, which is user experience, user interface, user experience, and it's what it is that we do as far as designing different applications or different desktop experiences based off of what we want the customer to do. So we're guiding you and we're teaching you how it is that you're supposed to utilize this technology, or we're branching over from old technology into new technology to make this a seamless experience, right? So when you see an update on an application, when you go to an ATM and you see a better experience, when you look at the layout of a restaurant and how people flow in and out, when you see that bottlenecks are now starting to disappear based off of the fact that we don't think that a street light should be here, but instead we should have a turnaround or a roundabout to where we let traffic flow seamlessly depending on what it is that they need and or how busy and how much that they're building in certain communities. User experience is more than just information technology. We just apply it to that one particular thing, right? But the thing that they teach you in user experience is you first learn and understand the demographic and your customers. If I pick up this phone right here And the reason that we started doing away with hamburger menus is the thing that you see on Amazon. It's the 3 lines at the top of the screen. It's usually in the upper left hand or the right hand corner, right? And Amazon can get away with a hamburger menu because Amazon has a vast or mass variety of different segments of the business in which they're trying to guide you to. They got home and garden, they got technology, they got books, they got CDs, they got audiobooks, they got all of these different things. So a hamburger menu needs to be contained within the Amazon website based off of what it is that they're serving in their demographic of customer. However, if you look at Instagram and you say, well, wow, why do they have the main navigation at the bottom of the page? Well, it's because when you hold your phone, literally, if you have to reach all the way up into the top of the page, you can't do it with one hand. So it's easier for you to navigate based off of the fact that you have a navigation menu at the bottom. But they didn't just put the navigation menu at the bottom. They use icons or a combination of icons and words that then display where it is that you're supposed to navigate to. And then you inherently just program yourself to look at the pictures and identify that with where it is that you're trying to go inside of the application, right? That's all user experience. But they've developed that, or they've created that based off of understanding the demographic of people that then use their platform. The Facebook experience is much different than the Instagram experience. Well, why is that? Because the users that's on Facebook obviously are older. They're more inherently in tune with how Facebook was when they first got there. And so they're slowly but surely navigating over into a different user experience depending on how it is that they're training their users to use that specific application. And so they understand their demographic. When you then go in and you start serving food in a specific neighborhood, you don't put Ruth Chris in the hood. You understand the neighborhood, you understand the demographic, you understand your customers, and you know that if somebody from the hood want to go and patronize what's going on over there at Ruth Chris, they have to go out of their way to do so. And so how you see things, how you market yourself, how you understand the people that surround you is all based off of getting out of your comfort zone and understanding things from other people's perspectives so that you can then apply it to your own life. If you want to understand how to do marriage successfully, maybe you should look at what it is that people are doing that are doing marriage successfully. Don't just lean to your own understanding. That's literally what the word says. Don't lean to your own understanding. And in everything you do, get understanding. That means learn from the people that then has the insight and the information. I never let anybody box me in. When they said that, Anton, you're supposed to be doing urban exploration, I did that for a moment. I captured that audience and then I moved over into another thing, right? I never let you box me in because I understand that my growth or my superpower is my willingness or my ability to be able to take from different experiences based off of what I learned and put myself in environments that may or may not be uncomfortable, but it certainly comes from people that don't look like me, don't talk like me, or they have a completely different experience that I can then apply to what it is that I'm doing in my own space or in my own businesses. You have to get outside of your comfort zone because the longer that you stay immersed in a space that is not adding value to your life, or if you're only comfortable doing it one way, you will be outdated and you will be outsourced eventually because life is going to move on without you. Technology is going to move on without you. And more importantly, your core demographic and audience is going to move on without you because they're going to see more value once they learn that there's something outside of you that can give them more insight and information on how it is that they can be better versions of themselves. Step outside of your comfort zone. Don't let them box you in. Don't let them continue to tell you what you are and what you ain't. Don't let them tell you to stay on code. Translation, they telling you to stay broke, right? Move outside of what you think makes sense because there's something else for you on the other end of that spectrum. To stay on code means to stay broke. I'm going to tell you one more time. To stay on code means to stay broke. And one thing is for sure and two things is for certain. I'm allergic to being broke. I ain't never being broke. NBA young boy, never broke again. Never broke again. Never being broke. You can have that for yourself. I'm going to let you keep that whole segment of life for yourself. I'm never being broke. All right? Shout out to y'all. Let me acknowledge some of the super chats. Shout out to Ash. Ash says, understood AD, Lapeef Let's Talk is not good. I wouldn't say that. I think the Lapeef Let's Talk is still good. I think that there's just a transition that's happening with me not being there. And now y'all learning to appreciate what it is that I brought to the platform as far as being more visible on the platform because I was cooking. I stopped watching. I would prefer a more older and experienced generation of men and women. Just my opinion. Thank you, Ash, for the super chat. Also says, which is why I moved to your channel. The conversation over here is thought-provoking. Oh, I got some things lined up for y'all, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. Make sure y'all tuning in to Q's show on Monday nights. She puts on a show, and that show is growing like crazy. That show is, Q is a talent that is out of this world. Brock says, pass love offering. Thank you, Brock. I appreciate you. Yo, Q is, people don't even realize how talented she is. She is an incredible host. She puts together that entire show by herself. She puts together the different people in a combination of panelists that show up on the show. Sometimes there be people popping up on there, and I'll be like, wow, I didn't even know that they was rocking over here like that. Q do a crazy, crazy show. And no, Yanni didn't make anybody clean anything up. I was already off. I had already decided that I wanted to be off that or off the panels in general about 2 to 3 weeks prior to ever jumping on her show. Nobody can make me do anything. I run my shit. And we did bigger numbers last month than we did any month prior to that. So please, don't jump off the bridge. We do what we do because we do what we want to do. All right, and that's real. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Please don't make me go back to the hood because I'm not that far removed. I'm trying to keep it positive. I'm trying to keep it G, but you know sometimes Anton from Anton Daniels will go dark. And let's be clear, anything that I pop up on, I'm going to turn it up. And anything I touch turns to gold. Anything that I touch turns to gold. Remember that. There's nothing that I don't touch that don't turn to gold. And remember, man, y'all better start giving me my credit. Let's be real. Let's be real. Q show be on the Anton Daniels channel on Monday night. I am responsible for the overwhelming majority of people that have any kind of visibility that y'all rocking with today on the internet. All of these people that y'all see running around having these little views, a lot of them is sons of mine. A lot of these people you would have never known if it wasn't for me bringing them to some sort of visibility. That's a fact. That is a fact. A lot of these people you would have not even become familiar with if it wasn't for us bringing them some level of visibility. As a matter of fact, I'll do you one more solid. Did you know that Yanni was one of the early panelists that joined on the platform before? That's a fact. That is a fact. Yanni was one of the people that was on the platform that was in one of them little boxes, giving her little opinion about what's going on with relationships very early in the Lapeef experience. All right? So stop it. Stop it. I'm still the king, and I rule according to how I see fit. I just so happen to be a nicer guy right now because I want to continue to add value into people's lives. All right, so I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for continuing to rock with me. Ian says, I need more panel experience. It's harder than it looks. It is. A lot of people think that they know what they're doing until they get up here because them bright lights is a little bit differently. I put a lot of people on, man. I actually added a lot of value in a lot of people's lives. And people don't even know that because they don't know the history and how long I've been on this platform. I'm one of the OGs in the space. I've been doing this for a long time. So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I need y'all to do me one more favor before we get up out of here. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves. Tangeray 10 Gin and Tonic says, looking good, Anton. The Ozempic is working. What the heck is Ozempic? What is Ozempic? Is that some kind of medication? Well, listen, I appreciate the well wishes. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for holding me down and for the super chats and adding value into my life. How did I ignore your super chat? Did I ignore your super chat, Razik? Where's your super chat, Razik? Hold on, let me come back on camera. The one thing that I can't do is be ignoring people. Razik, let me go back. I did not ignore your super chat, Razik. I probably just missed it by mistake. Let me go back. All right, I see you, Razik. My bad. It says, commenting on the Steve segment, my pops is getting a second divorce after 30 years to my stepmom. He says, son, don't ever get married and women are weapons of mass destruction. I said, Pops, I know, shaking my head. Shout out to Razik, man. I would never intentionally skip over your super chat. I probably was just in a zone when I was talking when you sent it. Razik, you know I love you and I rock with you, big dog. You my guy. So I had to come back on come back on camera just to be able to add value into that. So thank you, Razik. Again, thank you guys. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.